Chicago political machine still?
Yes.
Okay.
There is.
That's a quick answer. Then who's in charge of it?
Okay, so I mean, the short answer is Chicago Board of Trade. And it's a little harder to connect the dots than it was under Daley, because Daley ran everything with such, well, both Daleys ran everything with such an iron fist, and it was built around patronage, whereas I think now that model has certainly changed. And I think TIF funds play a front and center role in that, sort of. I mean, you know, it's no coincidence, for example, that a company like Vienna Beef donates to Rahm Emanuel's campaign, gets $5 million that actually belongs in children's classrooms. And it's that corporate sort of, I don't know how you want to call it, but yeah, that corporate form of patronage, I think, is the new form of the political machine.
Then, what does the political machine do these days?
So I think if you look at Uptown, I think, to a lesser extent, you know, Rogers Park here in the 49th Ward, but if you go down to the 46th Ward with Alderman Kappelman, you know, this was a section of the city that's historically known for affordable and low-income housing, like the Wilson Men's Hotel, for example. And during Kappelman's, last 2 years, despite promising not to go after low-income housing, that's exactly what he's done, and sponsored and pushed different SROs to well, flats. I don't know if you're familiar with flats. A real estate developer has been buying out these low-income housing to the tune where it's like 1,500 units in the last 2 years are gone, and not a single one has been replaced. So to answer your question, it's kind of clear that they want to turn Uptown from a working class neighborhood into an entertainment district. You know, when you think about all like the Red Line construction, how they rebuilt some of the stations up on the north side, although they did it one at a time, compared to the largely black south side, which they just decided to eviscerate. You know, and they talked about rebuilding, I don't know if you saw the plans, they wanted to rebuild Wilson Stop. You know, now granted that station could use a little facelift, but I would argue that they're not rebuilding it for the people who live there, they're rebuilding it for the people they want to move in. So I don't know if that answers your question. But yeah, it's all about real estate, massive land grab.
That's good or bad for the city?
Well, it's like the people who live in those low-income housing, right? They're like, Kappelman was like, well, that's okay. We can go send them up to the what's that? The Astor House or something that's like Pat National.
Yeah, Astor House.
Yeah, and of course they just got bought, and so they got kicked out of it. So where are they going to go? So I mean, if you're rich, I'm sure that works out really nice. If you're not, you're totally screwed.
What would you change about the system?
Well, first and foremost, I don't think any private real estate developer should be getting tax money, period. End of story. I think the taxpayers deserve that money in the form of public services, in the form of public education. So that's number one. We need to stop incentivizing people to, like, literally, you know, evict tenants from low-income housing. I think secondly, you know, the banks, you know, play a secondary role in that. They're also fronting, you know, financing for these projects and for this development, and the city isn't taxing them like they could. You know, it's been suggested, for example, that the Chicago Board of Trade that just I think it was like a 25-cent tax on every financial transaction downtown, which hardly noticeable to the players involved, would raise millions of revenue. and they won't do it. They just don't want to tax the banks.
How did they manage to get that not passed? Yeah.
Well, I mean, the same way they do anything. I mean, the mayor kind of runs this city council like they're a bunch of lackeys. You know, I think like.
Even Emmanuel?
Yeah, Emmanuel. Yes. You know, it was a big question when he was first elected. Would the city council sort of, you know, bend to his iron will, you know, like they did with Daley? And it's like, if you go against the mayor, that's when garbage stops getting collected in your ward. And that's when significant sums of money start finding themselves into your opposition. And it's basically proof that the machine works because, you know, look at Alderman Joe Moore here in Rogers Park, you know, the champion of participatory budgeting, the champion of participatory democracy, and when 89% of the city demands an elected school board, who's the one guy that puts the kibosh on it? Specifically at the request of Mayor Emanuel. It's Joe Moore. Turns out he is also a criminal.
So much.
Yeah.
And who are you?
Oh, my name's John Snowden. I live here in Rogers Park.
They're doing dumb things, and they're causing more harm than good. And even they have programs down with the insurance companies talking, and they said the worst thing they did was having the red lights, because that's causing more rear-end accidents overall. Plus, they found out that the people are running. You know what they're doing? Guess what they're doing? They're peering in at the cars. They're like you and you, using it for their own personal. And they've just put, they showed one that they put up another one around by a school. And they said, boy, that's going to bring more money than we thought. But here's the thing of it. To me, they're losing. They don't understand the maintenance and everything. Just like the parking meters thing when Daley had it and he sold it, that was a wrong act to do. But the thing of it is, it makes it even worse. One of the policemen I talked to one day, he said to
That's a great question. Is there a political machine? There may still be, you know. I mean, definitely not a whole lot has changed. I mean, there was a political machine when we were growing up much younger, you know, when Daley was in office and Father was in office and things like that. But as far as today, is it the same way as far as the political machine? I can't really say, but I won't say that a whole lot has changed the way that Chicago operates, you know, down the city.
Okay. Who would you say is in charge of it then?
In charge of that machine? Would it be the mayor? A lot of people do want the current mayor booted out of office. But I would say that any machine is definitely, you would have to look at those aldermen that have been around for 20, 30 years, that were back from that time. They would definitely be the ones who would be controlling behind the scenes.
And what do they do?
I guess that I can see it. They have a lot of influence. They've been around for a long time. They know a lot of people who do pull the strings, maybe control the money. You know, so they have a certain way of pulling their weight.
What do you mean by that exactly?
Maybe you know, some people have certain political influence, or you know, can you know move certain situations, you know, one way or the other, as far as when it comes to money, political power.
And is that good or bad for the city?
It's always been bad for the city because it's like more the power is always concentrated at the top. Those neighborhoods that have those particular people in place, as far as aldermen, probably get better services. And the neighborhoods that are in need the most of city services, police protection, things of that nature, continue to be lacking in what's needed. So that would be my best answer.
Do you think that there is a political machine that runs Chicago?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. You can see it. You can see it. In Madigan, the Speaker of the House, he's a big farce. He should be out of there. He should be out of there. He ruined it for his daughter, because he's gonna be under investigation, you know, for the scandal on the Metro. Yeah, he was a pusher of the jobs for some of them people, and the people like you and me go out and vote. Of course, I'm not voting because I don't believe in the system. It's all corrupt.
Do you think your vote counts?
Huh?
Do you think your vote counts?
Well, I can't really say, because most people say, they won't listen to me. I'm just a nobody. But here's the thing about talking about the things like that. The people, when they vote, the guy's got a criminal record, had a criminal past. He gets in. They shouldn't be allowed to run even, because they've done bad things. This whole world is...
Do you think that there's, see, and when I'm on machines like that, I hear that run Chicago?
Personally, I honestly, I don't think so.
You don't think so? Why not?
Why don't I?
Yeah.
The malfunction, just the way things are running as is. I mean, from my experience, there's nothing that stands out to me that would say that there's something in Chicago that wouldn't run it like that.
Well, who are you? Yeah.
My name's Ashley. I'm working with the workforce. It's actually
Detroit, Michigan, they filed bankruptcy. And
Is that
the
where you
mayor
think
was
Chicago
on.
is headed?
Huh?
Do you think that's where Chicago is headed?
He said, the mayor of Detroit, he's a black man. He said, I think that Illinois, the whole state will go bankrupt. Not just Chicago. It'll be the whole state, because they're not helping. Our governor's not helping. Quinn's not helping. There's ways you can get businesses in here.
Whether you think there is a political machine.
Is there a political machine in Chicago?
The state senator's not sitting here, so you can answer honestly.
Well, Chicago is Democratic, primarily, overwhelmingly. So, I mean, to that extent, yeah.
Okay, what do you think the machine does? What are they in charge of? And who is in charge of the machine?
I'm probably not the best person to ask about that, because I really just don't know.
Who's in charge of things?
Yeah.
Of the machine?
I think that you have your political parties, and political action committees.
Rahm Emanuel is in charge of things.
Mayor, yeah. But then you've got the county, the county board.
A Chicago political machine is good or bad for the city?
I guess, could you give me a definition of what you mean by a political machine? Because I really don't understand what you're asking.
The Chicago political machine is an aggregation of about 35,000 people, men and women, but of course mostly men, and in almost all the high positions only men, who make a living off politics. That's their living. They make a living off politics, and they make it in a variety of ways. They make it by salaries, by holding positions, by jobs. They make it by perquisites. They make it by money that's made because you hold a job. They make it by contracts with the public agencies. They make it by the sidelines. And we know from the public record that they make it from bribery.
Well, that the Democrats, being the majority, have much more power than
Much more power and influence, and they kind of keep other candidates out of in politics in Chicago.
The way they sort of are able to work together as
It
one.
kind of offsets what's downstate, or in suburbs. Yeah, and I think because the Democratic Party generally has championed, the causes of women and equal rights and public education generally, and I think that in an urban area, I think that they generally tend to be Democratic because the Democratic Party generally, works on these issues. So that's my take on it.
Are you happy with the way things are
No,
running?
not at all. Not at all. Not one iota. He's all about money. He's all about money. and he's worried about money. He's got to realize everybody doesn't have money. And I'll tell you another thing.